Welcome back, everyone, to another bonus episode of Drunk Bible Study. So we had a lot to unpack here in this episode, and I wanted to start with something that happened like in 24:1. So right off the bat, in the first section, they talked about the uncleanliness. Well, uncleanliness is how these people say it, but what was it? Unseemly thing in ours. So
this was
what
the
does
man taking
phrase,
a wife and then finding an unseemly thing, right?
Yes, exactly, within her. So this talks about what some people think that it is that it's sexual immorality, which is interesting. Of course, I mean, that makes sense that I guess, yeah, again, she's not a virgin or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know how these people can tell that they're not virgins or not. Who the heck knows? We're not exactly sure, but it's essentially saying that if this happens, if you find some sort of uncleanliness or unseemly thing in her, then you must divorce the wife. So I'm assuming this comes up with the stuff that you talked about or that you were looking up, Jace. But I was surprised by that. It was saying basically like there are not any other options except for divorce.
Right, like it's not you can divorce her, but you have to.
Yeah, exactly.
I found some similar things too, when I was looking this up.
Okay. Yeah, well, do you want to go on to that?
Well, I guess just real quick related to that, the thing I found that was interesting is that someone on the Hermeneutics Stack Exchange, which is a fascinating quarter of the internet that is really, really interesting, actually. But basically, what one of these people is making is basically giving the explanation that when people try to look at this verse and try to decipher what it's saying about like the reasons why you can get divorced, that it's actually clarifying like this verse is not about the reason for getting divorced. That's just the setup for explaining then what happens next. And that actually there's no records of the divorce law that exists today. Like, so we don't actually know that.
Interesting. Yeah, and I guess I wanted to say just like as a last little thing here that scholars seem to be not really sure what this means. Like they mean like, yes, it might be sexual infidelity or something along those lines, but they're not 100% certain of what it actually means. And there's some discrepancy here. So it might just be like shame or I don't know, like that she actually has uncleanliness in some way, because there's a million different ways in which one can be unclean.
On this hermeneutic stack exchange, one of the people points out the Hebrew words that are used in both.
Exactly. Oh, you're literally looking up the thing that I looked up. Yeah.
Well, I actually I sort of accidentally saw that when I was looking for something else.
Okay, yeah.
But was talking about the difference between the words used specifically for sexual infidelity versus in this case, it's words that are also used for that same uncleanness that had to do with burying your poop in the last episode.
Oh, yeah. Right. I forgot about the poop burying.
Yeah. Very important.
Right. So this person's making the case that like, well, they're not using the word they normally use for sexual infidelity. So this is maybe more of a general sense and we don't really know what it applies to.
How would they know about that with her though?
Whether or not she buried her poop?
She didn't bury her poop. Yeah. I don't know.
How dare she?
But it is interesting though that I didn't realize that there's not an actual record of the divorce law from these times that exists today, but more like some references to it, to the fact that you could do it, which is interesting. That just the fact that they could get divorced, but we don't really know the specifics of how and whatever. And the other case for it not being infidelity is that we already have a couple different places where we've talked about this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's the radioactive dust water. And then there's also more recently the thing of like, if she's not a virgin, that we kill her or you have to pay a fine if it proves that she was. Like we've kind of already got stuff in place. So then there must be other reasons for getting divorced. I don't know, but it's weird. Like we don't really know what those are.
That is fascinating.
So what did you find, Dedeker?
Okay, so y'all want to know about shoes and sandals being taken off of feet?
Sure.
Yes.
It is fascinating, let me tell you. Okay, so first and foremost, primary theory, I will say the more Christian viewpoint theory is that this whole shoe thing is that this specifically is basically absolving the man of any rights to his brother's like property or inheritance or things like that. So like not only is
the shoes related.
Not only is he forfeiting his right to marry this woman, but it's also any access to any of his property that she would have gotten, essentially. Yes. Yeah. And definitely a lot of people saying that this would have intentionally was supposed to be a very humiliating thing, you know, because it's supposed to really highlight this person as, you know, a person who's not going to take responsibility, and maybe even he might even be broke now because he's giving up like money that would have been part of his brother's inheritance or whatever. Now, where it actually gets fascinating is when you actually get into like rabbinical law and the Talmud and stuff like that. So this ceremony has a specific name. It's called the Halizah or the Halizah. Whichever you will. And so a couple different purposes to this ceremony. One of them being some people saying, you know, some people make the case, yeah, it's supposed to be about shame and public humiliation. Other people are saying like, no, it's just about some kind of official way to make it so that the widow can then be free to marry someone else. Essentially, and that's it. It's just about, that's all it is. We're just officiating that so that then she's free to kind of move on with her life and not have to marry the brother. Now, there's an entire Wikipedia page just on this ceremony specifically.
Wow.
Yeah. And so like the actual ceremony that's laid out in the Talmud is much more specific of like, these are the people who have to be there to witness it. This is the time of day it has to happen. They actually use a special shoe. It's not just like whatever shoe you happen to be wearing. They use a special shoe. And it has to be on your dominant foot, you know.
Very important.
And so basically, he, the brother who doesn't want to marry his brother's wife, has to put on the shoe. He has to walk 4 cubits in the presence of the judges. So it's like he's got to actually walk around in the shoe. And then there's some kind of like call and response style dialogue about him saying that he doesn't want this woman.
No
and
woman,
her saying,
no cry.
This person's...
So I'm sorry, I couldn't
that.
resist.
And then she has to take the shoe also in her dominant hand and like take it off his foot and then throw it. Actually, she throws it away.
This is amazing.
Spits on the ground. And there's, you know, lots of like kind of, you know, set dialogue for what you say that's very official and structured and stuff like that. And then after that, then it's like, okay, great. Now we part ways and we don't have to worry about it. Now and it even goes on to like, there's evidence that, in ancient marriages, sometimes this would be written into a marriage contract.
Jeez.
Where you might write into a marriage contract that like the brother of the groom might sign the marriage contract signifying that he is automatically going to do Halizah, like automatically going to release his brother's wife into freedom, because I guess apparently a problem that would happen is that sometimes people would extort their brother's wives for money.
Why?
Essentially, where it would be like, fine, I'll let you marry whoever you want, or I'll let you go free, but you need to give me
all of
like the money that you would have inherited from my brother first.
Oh, right.
And then I'll let you go. Yeah. Yikes. And so basically, apparently over time, it came to be that rather than a wife just automatically being married to her husband's brother being the norm, that actually the rabbis kind of preferred doing the Halizah just to kind of, I guess, have a clean break or whatever. So now here's the real coconuts thing. This still happens to this day. It is very, very rare.
Countries?
It's very, very rare. They theorize that this probably happens 1 or 2 times per year in America, and that there's probably 10 to 20 ceremonies per year in Israel. And this led me down a rabbit hole where I actually found a news article from 2010, kind of like a human interest piece, interviewing a woman who had to go through this ritual, the Halizah ritual. Yeah, because she was like Orthodox Jewish living in Israel. Her husband died in a car accident. And then she met another man, got engaged to this other man. And then they had to like register with the Rabbinate, which is like the government agency in Israel that grants like Jewish marriage permits. And they checked and they were like, no, you need to do this ceremony because otherwise you're not going to be able to marry again. Ever.
And they're like,
if you're,
are you serious?
Yeah. And so they had some quotes like she did this ceremony with her brother-in-law, her former brother-in-law or whatever, and she just says it was humiliating for me and it was humiliating for my brother-in-law. It was like something out of a biblical play, only we were forced to do it in the 21st century.
I can imagine. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Jeez. But they were straight up like, no, we can't give you a marriage license unless you do this. And then here's the other nutso thing is there's another example that they talk about of when this happened, where again, this woman's, it was a 60-year-old woman. Her first husband had died 40 years ago. She got married again. She also got divorced again. But then the third time when she goes to the rabbis, then the registrar noticed, it's like, oh, you never did the Halizah ceremony. And so unless you do it, I can't marry you again. So we need to find your brother's husband, your first husband's brother.
Okay.
And when they find the brother, it turns out he was diabetic and his legs had been amputated. And they're like, well, we can't do that because you need to have a shoe to take off. And so if we can't do the Halizah, then you're just stuck. But apparently the way that they got out of the situation is the rabbi determined that this brother-in-law, I don't know how he determined this, but determined that he was impotent and therefore could not fulfill like his obligations to fulfill the marriage. And so he was not.
But she was probably post-menopause at that point anyways.
The whole thing's ridiculous. Yeah. Wow.
Yes, but we still got to follow the rules.
That's a lot. Oh my goodness.
Boy.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I know, right? So it still does happen even to this day. Just very, very rarely, but it does happen. Like, I guess there are some certain like Orthodox Jewish government agencies that are like, no, we gotta do this if you're gonna get remarried.
Wow.
Well, I found out who the Syrian was.
Oh, who was it?
Oh, who's the Syrian?
It's Jacob. Yeah, Jacob. So yeah, he was thought to be born in Canaan. His mother was a Syrian, and his grandfather Abraham was out of Chalda, a part of Syria.
So does that mean, what was it? Sarah was Abraham's wife. And Sarah was No, Rebecca. Rebecca was Jacob's mom. It was Rebecca and Isaac.
Wait, but this is grandfather Abraham. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, his grandfather Abraham was out of Chalda, a part of Syria, and Jacob married 2 wives in Syria, and all his children were born there, but Benjamin, and where he lived 20 years, and sometimes persons are denominated as from the place of their birth. So from the place of their dwelling, as Christ was called Nazarene from Nazareth, where he dwelt. Though he was born in Bethlehem, blah, 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 blah.
Wow, that's cool. Okay.
And that holds up that Rebecca was from Syria.
Yeah.
That they're very specific.
Wow. Okay. That's super cool.
Okay, so there we go.
All the mysteries have been solved. We figured out the shoes.
Jacob was a Syrian. Perfect.
Figured out the Syrian. Love it. Yeah. We don't know how we can get divorced, but we do know what happens afterward. Yeah.
But that's okay. They figure it out. Yeah. Wow, this is just a lot of bonkers stuff, isn't it?
It really is.
I can't wait till we get to the epic songs.
Yeah, epic songs.
Man.
Super excited.
And that's in Deuteronomy?
Yeah. Moses, I think, actually might even sing a couple songs, or maybe like one song and one poem,
gosh.
or
sort
of a concert.
Like a whole,
sort of a retirement concert. Yeah.
Rock opera.
I love it. A recital, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. A recital.
My last act on this earth is a recital.
Yeah. There you go.
Wow.
All righty.
All right. Wow. Thank you. Thank you to the two of you for teaching me these fascinating things. And we want to know what y'all think. Let us know. Go join our Facebook group, Drunk Bible Study Fans and Fellowship. Let us know what you think about all this stuff, and we will see you around there.